if the founder is not delusional, if the business owner is not so obsessed that they're waking up at 3 a.m., eating, sleeping, breathing the business, why would you expect the customer to buy into it?
Welcome back to the Soulful CEO Path, the podcast for ambitious soul-led entrepreneurs who are building wildly abundant and aligned businesses that create ripple effects of positivity in the world. And I have such a fun guest for us on the show today. The guest that I have on is, we can already hear her giggle, is a Yorkshire-born storyteller and experienced designer who knows that beauty isn't just something that you see, it's something that you feel. Emily Shimwell is the founder of Dine and co-founder of Graze, two ventures united by her love of community, connection, and unforgettable experiences. And I just recently, attended two of Emily's events. One was a dinner party at her Dine events. It was my first experience. I loved it. And then being Emily, she's like, you need to come to my next event. It is Feast, 100-person conference that she put on in quite a small amount of time with a massive vision. And it was so cool to be a part of experience. And I have brought Emily on the show today because, one, I want to highlight a version of entrepreneurship that I think doesn't get talked about a lot. And then two, I want you to be able to see behind the scenes of what it takes to actually do something like pull off a 100-person event. Because I think a lot of people want to do these kind of things. They're like, oh, that'd be fun or that'd be cool. And then it's like, but what does it actually take? So Emily, welcome to the show. And maybe we'll just kick it off right then with that question in itself. If there was one thing that you didn't expect to happen or learn out of putting on a 100-person conference for women, what would be the biggest curveball along the way that you learned?
Quite honestly, that the tickets would be so hard to sell.
Yeah.
I am a shameless natural saleswoman, can't help it. It's just running through my bones, and it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's an experience, a product, a recommendation that I feel so passionately about. I've had it fairly easy, and that I shouldn't say that really. I do this all the time. I take away the credit from myself, but things have sold fairly easily that I've sold in the past. This was a much higher price point in a location that isn't used to these kinds of events. And so, honestly, the hardest thing was selling the tickets. I thought projecting it out that it was a no-brainer that we would have 100 odd people in the room at X amount of cost, easy. And that was the biggest hurdle, which then pulled me away from every other task at hand in order to bring it to life. And so I just had to go the old-fashioned route of getting face-to-face with everybody. And quite literally sold 85 of the tickets just face-to-face on the street, at events. It was wild.
85 of the 100 tickets were old school, face-to-face. Oh, yeah.
What are you doing on the 26th of October? I was just literally walking up to people. You look like you're coming to Squamish on the 26th of October.
Yeah, and it works. It works. I want to get into all of that in a minute, but before we do that, I want you to share with the people who are listening what the vision for Feast was and what it's all about, because we're going to dig into kind of behind the scenes, but I think setting some context of what it was, why you wanted to do it, is important. So can you share with us a little bit around your vision for Feast and why you wanted to do it?
As you know from being a guest and being involved in the process, I described Feast by waving my arms in the air to describe a feeling. And to me, it was so clear. It was a conference structure, perhaps, but would look more like a wedding. It would feel like an intimate dinner party, even though there was going to be over 100 people there. And then it was just going to feel real. And I go to a lot of events, and I've become a professional networker and event goer the last few months.
Yeah.
And a lot of events look very, very beautiful, very Instagrammable. And I leave and I drive home in the dark along the sea to Skye back to Squamish. And what I'm left with is it looks beautiful when I post about it tomorrow, but I don't know if my cup feels full, and I don't know if my brain feels lit up, and I don't know if I made connections that
Mm.
I'm actually going to do anything with. Um, we say to 1,000 people, "Oh, we'll go for coffee," and I actually mean that when I say it.
Yeah.
But I would just leave feeling at a bit of a loss. And then the next day, everyone is asking, "How did you hear about this event? This looks so beautiful." And it was. But compared to Dine Wilder, I would just think it doesn't have the depth. Some do, some definitely do. And I've discovered some incredible women hosting events that do
Mm.
give you the same feeling. And I tell everybody about them. But I just knew that it would feel real. And I know myself, the way that I am, the team, and the women Dine attracts, even if they feel a
Mm-hmm.
little bit out of their comfort zone coming. I mean, you've experienced the room. Everybody wants each other to win. It's not just like marketing
Yeah.
copy, connection, conversation. It's real.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's going, even if they show up differently depending on their comfort level, they're showing up for real connection. It's not just for the optics of it. Um,
Yeah.
so Kaylee that works with me at one point said, I think we lean into it's the structure of a conference, it's the flow and feeling of a retreat with dinner party vibes. And it sounds a bit
Yeah.
confusing, but I think we nailed it. That's
It
what it
just
was.
now going there, I'm like, it describes it perfectly. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. Yeah. I mean, that definitely describes it. It wasn't like anything else that people had experienced. And I think that that's the interesting thing when you are trailblazing and doing something new for the first time. People don't have things to compare it to. So they're like, oh, it's like a conference. I don't really like conferences. Oh, it's like a networking event. I don't really like that. And you're like, no, no, but it's different. And having being able to like explain that difference is a big part of it. So, if we go back to the thing that you found that was most difficult about selling the tickets, how did this differ than say one of your Dine Wilder events, which are these beautiful dinner parties, different sizes from what I imagine of what I've been able to see, but they're a dinner party experience. Why do you think the conference there or feast, which we'll just call a conference for ease, why do you think it was more difficult to sell?
I think because it's easy to imagine what a dinner table is like. And to me, it sounds silly almost. And everyone was trying to put feast in a box. And when I finally realized I don't need to, it's broken
Mm-hmm.
out of the box and it's its own shape. Now going forward, it's just feast. And I know wholeheartedly it will sell. We've
Mm-hmm.
already sold 30% of the tickets for next year, which is
Oh my
incredible.
gosh.
So cool.
Wow.
Um,
Isn't that amazing? This year you weren't at 30% sold out by like a month
a month
before,
before.
and then now you're a year ahead
I
and you're
know.
sold out. Yeah.
It's amazing. And that's just been released to the people that came last week. And it's all surprising and also very expected. I also just knew that
Mm-hmm.
this was going to happen. But I think massively a different price point. And I thought if someone would invest $200 in a dinner ticket for 3 hours, then they would be able to justify 555 for triple the length of time. To me, the math just made sense. It's
Mm-hmm.
triple the length of experience and you get so much more. But I think if you can't articulate it exactly what it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be, people want to see what it is a bit of a stretch. And I think also a lot of events that are a higher price point, you have the payment option method, which we had, but because this
Yeah.
was like put together in 2 months, there wasn't enough time, quite honestly, for people to split the payments. So it's all the really like boring logistics of those types of things.
Yeah.
It's also selling to people in the city and the lower mainland, persuading them to leave their families all day on a Sunday and also drive the sea to sky.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've done it, it's incredible. And the drive's beautiful. And why would you not? And then you get all the drive home to integrate what you've just soaked up during
Mm-hmm.
the day. Um, and I think honestly, like my webpage was terrible. I again couldn't put down on paper what it was, didn't give people enough information, and trusted that everyone would be purchasing from my mindset of, oh, I like this brand, I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what they create, I'm
Yeah.
in. And the first 20 people that bought, that is how they see it. Now there'll be 100
Yeah.
people that buy with that mindset. But if you haven't experienced it, some people need way more um, moments of exposure of the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, all these learnings. And, I think it's just so great for everyone, whether it's events or programs or any kind of offer, is understanding that the first time you do something, it's going it's going to be trickier because you don't actually know exactly what it's going to be. You're kind of guessing. And now, like, I'm just thinking about your copy for next year and how you'll talk about it. Even just that thing that you just talked about right now is like time for integration on your drive back home.
Yeah.
Like, now you're actually taking an objection that people might have and turning it into a value add of the whole experience, because that location it's if you have never been to the Cheakamus Center in Squamish, it is stunning. It's this like treetop little, like, it's enclosed by all these beautiful trees right by the river. It is so beautiful. And Emily had an amazing opening ceremony by an Indigenous woman who came and did a beautiful opening for all of us. And
It made me
I
cry.
can't tell you how many people started crying. We weren't even there for like 5 minutes. And what I loved about the first little bit is you started right on time, which at events is like never happens. And like for my type, I'm like, okay, yes, we're getting going. And then we had this beautiful opening. And so all these details were thought about, but like they weren't yet able to be articulated because you hadn't had the experience of it yet. And many of us, myself included, are experienced people. It's like once you experience it, then it's like it's in your body, it's integrated, and you can talk about it. And so sometimes it takes that first one to just like get through, and then now it's like easier and easier and easier, and it's going to sell itself, which is really cool.
I think next
I
year we
wanted
we just have no copy at all, and there's just a video of me waving the hands and saying, "Just come," and
totally.
they
Yeah, just
will.
come, and then like a little like snaps of like all the different experiences, because we're going to talk about that, the experience, I think, in here, if you don't mind, because you are a master. The two experiences that I've been with you, and I don't know if you know this about me actually, because we're fairly new to each other's world too, but my background is in hospitality. I grew up
Is it?
managing restaurants. Yeah.
Mhm.
And a big part of um, my early development was around how to create these wow experiences for people. So the little details is like I notice them and they make a difference. And you're such a master at creating these beautiful experiences. And one of the things that I heard over a few times actually at the event was that it was the swag bag that put people over the edge. They were like, I was looking at this event, I wanted to come, and then I saw what we were going to get in our swag bag, and they were like, it was worth it just to come for that alone. And so I think that that's a really cool thing to explore here, is that the different kinds of partnerships that you created and what you were, I guess, like whether it's strategy, intention, however you want to talk about it, like what that was around all of that. Because that was definitely something that you hit all of it out of the park. But just those pieces, particularly the amount of people at a really high level that contributed to the event, whether it be a speaker or swag or whatever, was really impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, and in the selling of the tickets, I had made for the longest time no mention of the gift bags. We knew what they were going to be like. I'm not someone who sold on a gift bag because I think I'm so used to going and they're full of paper, they're full of vouchers and coupons. And quite
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I haven't got time for it. And I'm not interested in buying. If I really want something, I'll go and buy it myself and save up for it.
Mm-hmm.
So to receive all this paper and the waste, that's what I see when I hear gift bag. So I said, if we're
Right.
doing one, it needs to be so intentional. And I only like to aim the highest possible. So, like, never mind who do we think we could get in the gift bag? Who would we love in the gift bag?
Mm-hmm.
And then we just couldn't believe it because every single brand who we asked said yes. And I think because it's the visionary, the CEO, often who you're speaking to, or the marketing director, they don't really need the reason sometimes. It's more like speaking to me, and I'm saying to them,
Mm-hmm.
just take my passion for the truth.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm going
Yeah.
to give you in return. And I've been involved in a lot of partnerships where I don't know if the product partners, sponsors have left feeling overjoyed with the return. I think people promise a lot of things up front, and then I don't
Mhm.
always know if it's delivered. It's just in my bones. If I know you or your brand or your service, I can't help but tell everybody I know. I wouldn't have to work if we were doing some kind of affiliate marketing because I just can't help but tell everybody, um, which is maybe for the future. But because of that, I knew what I could deliver. And all of them have got in touch and said, you might be new, but this is the best partnership we've ever experienced from a
Wow.
sponsorship, which is incredible. And because it was a quick turnaround time, they couldn't financially sponsor. But the amount of product they gave us, like when you hear Sage and Eminence, Elate,
Hmm.
and they're giving like $20,000 worth of product to something unknown that you haven't even sold tickets for. I think because I got so used to the yeses every single time, I just thought, well, this is normal. This is what happens for every brand. And my coach, Krista, who you've now met, she said, this isn't actually normal that all of the people say
Hmm.
yes. You're normally knocking on 10 doors to get one potential maybe.
Yeah.
Um, and I just created the dream bag that I would want really selfishly. And as soon as we started telling people, then it drew in the people who were like on the brink with it in their basket. So that was interesting to put myself in someone else's shoes and not just,
Hmm.
I was trying to sell to me, you
Yeah.
know? And I'm quite an easy emotionally led sale. And some
Yeah.
people need more data. And so now I think I'll approach everything and have one foot in each of their shoes, which has made me a much better rounded marketing saleswoman, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what a good, yeah, a good learning lesson in that is not everyone buys the same way as us. Some
Yeah.
people need information. Some people are more value buyers. Like I imagine the people who wanted the gift bag, they're like value people of like, well, this is, I'm going to for sure get my money's worth this way, you
Yeah,
know,
it's like girl
versus,
math.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that's super interesting. And now, if you're open, I'd love to like just get a behind the scenes peek because and I don't want to project anything on you, but if it was me and I had gotten all these sponsorships, all of these bags, they're all set up, ready to go, and I have 15 tickets sold, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to like make this event happen. What was going on for you internally to manage all of that? Like, did it phase you?
Only utter belief that it was going to happen. And I couldn't even let my brain go there because if for 1 second I did, it was a little bit of panic. So I just didn't go there other than maybe like 1 or 2 days. I thought, I think we're going to have to postpone this. Um, and I told the story at Feast, and I think what's so valuable is me sharing the learnings and the real truth of what happened. And I know it's only a conference and it's only an event, but now I'm in that world. All of them look so beautiful, and all of these incredible women are hosting them. Sometimes I think we're sold a story that might not be correct in that, oh, this is the dream business, this is the dream career path. We're hosting for a living. Actually, events are so difficult to make profitable. And I am on a
Mm-hmm.
mission to change that, but it's really challenging. Like I'm selling dinner
Yeah.
tickets for $200, and I think the average person sees, oh, well, every month she sells a dinner for 38 people, and she's selling the tickets for $200, so there's the profit. But actually,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, not much of it's profit when you're left at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day.
Well,
But be
especially the way that you put on an event because you're not just like doing it minimally, like it's
totally,
very beautiful. Yeah.
but because I've got this much larger goal in mind, um, I think you have to execute them immaculately. And I don't mean immaculate looking all the time, all the depth and all the feeling. But it also needs to be done right. Like I can't bear doing something half-assed. Like it has to be all, I'm so all in. And
Yeah.
so, yes, there were a couple of days that I was a little bit nervous, but not for myself. I think It could be embarrassing or your ego might be hurt to tell the world, I tried this and it didn't work. I actually felt quite inspired by the story of telling the world,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I tried, it didn't work. And you know why? Because these are all the mistakes I made. Don't you go and do the same thing. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, here's what worked really well. And this is what we're going to do moving forward. So I felt like the education of me postponing could actually be sold as a really positive outcome. So even that didn't feel like a failure, but I did worry that I was going to let other people down, like the speakers, like the product. But if you work things out on worst case scenario, it's the worst that can happen. People have got all this
Yeah.
marketing and they haven't had to use one of their days. And you give all the product back and you say, thank you so
Mm-hmm.
much. And I'm going to knock on your door again in 6 months. It's actually like not that bad. Um, what was a little bit nerve-wracking was I had to give numbers to the venue at a certain point. We kept pushing it and pushing it. And then 2 weeks out, they said, we need final numbers. And I said, we've got 108. And she said, Emily, how many tickets have you sold? And I just kept like changing the wording of the question and confirming that we would have 108 people
Yeah.
in the total belief, because it's okay, everybody telling you, don't worry, people are so last minute. But normally these events are 100% covered by sponsorship. So
Yeah.
it's not actually on your head. It's not actually costing you $40,000 to put it on. But it did. It
Mm-hmm.
was costing me that. So it was a complete um put my neck on the line in the hopes and knowing that it would go ahead. Um
Wow.
and it worked. I think you just have to not give yourself the the time to even think of a plan B. I had
Yeah.
no time to think of the plan B. I didn't even want
Yeah.
to know how many tickets had sold. At that point, I was just on a mission. And until it said stock depleted, I said to Kaylee, who works with me, get me out of the data I can't sell when I'm looking at 5,000 clicks, 100 people with it in their basket. Then you start questioning why. Why is it not converting? Why is this not
Yeah.
selling? All I knew is that it was terribly inefficient. But me driving to Vancouver and stopping people in person and selling them on watery eyed passion was working.
I freaking love
So,
this story. That, like, people will talk about the delusional level, that like the level of delusion that it takes to have something that's successful, and it's not a bad thing. It's like it is so inspiring, and it's like it really speaks to the power of your mindset and the work that you've done to be in control of this thing, which can get so wild if you allow it to, and instead just show up in the action. And you actually said something during one of your moments on stage, because we were talking about this idea of where it was around the financial conversation, and this idea of like manifesting and just manifest the money and just like all of that. And you had a really interesting take on it. And you're like, I just don't believe in this. I don't believe that that's the right message to be sharing. And I actually believe in really hard, like not really hard work, but in working hard for what you want. And what I love about this story is it's a perfect example of manifesting something, like having this big vision that you can't even really articulate, but not just like sitting back and hoping it happens, like putting your literal boots on the ground to make it happen. Can you share a little bit about your philosophy around that? Because I think it's like, if anyone is taking, like, if you're not taking notes, like this is a
no,
recipe
take
for
them.
success. So yes, take notes.
I think number one, if the founder is not delusional, if the business owner is not so obsessed that they're waking up at 3 a.m., eating, sleeping, breathing the business, why would you expect the customer to buy into it?
Yes. Oh my God.
I
Yes.
don't
Mic
even need
drop.
to really know what the product is about. If someone stops me and they're so passionate about whatever it might be, I'm in for that journey. And I might not be your customer, but I'll tell everybody else about it. And, even I hate to say it, but if there's two wineries next door to each other, if one of them has on paper the best product, but they're sat there at a market booth on their phone, not engaging, I will not give you my money. If this person
Yeah.
with the lesser product, I hate to say it, if she is so obsessed with what she's selling and believes in it so deeply, you know she's going to improve it because she's obsessed. I'm in. Take my money.
Oh.
So I
I've
think
had goosebumps.
you've
Yes.
got to be delusional.
Hmm.
Otherwise, every business is based on that, I think, at the beginning at least,
Yeah.
until you're like affected by real life, perhaps. Along the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Um, and I think honestly, I'm just leaning into my Northern English roots a little bit recently of like,
Hmm.
I think I used to feel nervous to say, just work really hard, because I think all of the incredible women who are now talking about rest and um the whole manifesting thing, they have a lot of them grown really successful businesses and have so much more wisdom than I do at the beginning of it. And they have burnt out and they now know that isn't the way to go. And they're trying to share their wisdom with those of us
Yeah.
at the beginning. So I completely appreciate that. And in 20 years, I'm sure my message will be, you know, rest a bit more. It's not a rush. Don't burn out. But also in the moment when you're trying to build a business, you're absolutely hustling. And I think it's a false narrative to tell anyone otherwise. I was at something recently and there was a 22-year-old sat next to me and she asked the panel, how did you get where you are? And nobody mentioned working hard or like knocking on doors, taking no for an answer, uh, you know, leaving your embarrassment at the door and just like quite
Hmm.
literally being out on the street and telling the world. Um, but that's how most people became successful initially.
Yeah.
And I just think the next generation, everything that they're looking at online, it's a little bit more like ask and you shall receive. And that happens when it's paired with the really hard work. And I think work and hard have this connotation that they're bad and that we should avoid them at all costs. It was really hard putting Feast on. And again, I really want to make it clear that I don't think it's anything incredible that I put a conference on. It isn't, but it was the process of it that stretched me. And I have quite a high capacity for being stretched and staying up all night and not knowing what the hell I'm doing and just, but it did really stretch me and the whole thing felt uncomfortable. But it's the best thing I've ever done. Same as all the things
Mm.
before that were hard. Um, so I think it's important that we're also acknowledging it doesn't just arrive on your lap. And it's
Yeah.
just in me, like you said about the action thing. I would sit when I was little with my mum and I would just empty my brain of its busyness, every single to do that I would need to make happen. And we'd sit in that. Or even if I was sad about something, she'd let me sit in the sadness for a minute. And then she would say, okay, what action are we going to take? And that's just
Hmm.
kind of where my brain goes. And even if I can't physically take action in the business, I'll go for a run, even if I'm really tired, and I'll just solve all my problems as I'm running in Squamish.
Hmm.
I just like to move.
Yeah.
It shifts the
Oh, I couldn't.
energy.
It does. It does. The body is such a conduit for that. And if we use it properly, it can be such a powerful tool to move things quickly. But I couldn't agree with you more on your perspective there around hard work and what it actually takes to do things that are meaningful and big. And whether it's big for you or big, it's like it doesn't matter. It's like there's no other area in our lives that we would expect to get these like epic results without putting in the effort. Relationships, we know we've got to, are going to be hard work. If we're our physical fitness and like if we have goals around that, we know we've got to put in the work. And then when it comes to business, for some reason, there's this narrative out there that, just let it flow. Don't do too much. Go slow, be soft. And like seasons for sure. But to your point, I think it's a really important conversation to have if that, especially like say next time, it's probably not going to be such a big lift. It'll still be a lift, but not the same kind of lift it was this time. It'll
Yeah.
get easier because you've built that muscle.
I asked
And
Michelle
yeah.
Romano, one of the Dragon's Den judges, recently. I asked her about this whole work-life balance,
Hmm.
you know, thing. And she said the same thing. It comes in sprints. And she said instead of looking at over the week or your working day, or sometimes you have to get a project over the line and you'll be
Hmm.
absolutely sprinting for months. As long as at some point in that year you get a
Yeah.
moment to take your foot off the pedal kind of thing, and reassess and then get back on it. But I've also had a few older women grab me literally like on the street or in a coffee shop and say to me, if it feels really good, keep running. Like run while you've got the
Yeah.
energy. Don't worry about it. We also did that at 30. Um, yeah, and it kind of gave me
Yeah.
permission to just like
Yeah.
burn the candle at both ends. I know it's like, I feel like it's like a terrible thing to say in 2025, but that's what I do. And I feel really good. I'm not
Yeah.
just saying it and I'm not just running on
Hmm.
adrenaline. I actually feel really
Yeah.
good and energized.
Because you're obsessed with what you do. And that comes back to that conversation too, is like, if you're not obsessed with what you're doing, that's what makes it hard because now it feels like work. And now it's not something that you actually want to do on the weekend. Like it becomes something that I need a break from versus like, oh, like I can't wait to get back to that because it's so energizing. I can't wait to solve that problem. So I know we're getting to the end of I could talk to you about this forever, but we're getting to the end of our conversation. And I do want to check in with you around your vision because you kind of alluded to that. You're like, part of your obsession and why you're doing this and willing to put in this work now or excited to put in this work now is because you have a big vision for where this is all going. So, can you share with us what that looks like?
Unfortunately, the vision is the hand gesture. And it's like I can see it so clearly. I
Hmm.
don't really know how to articulate it. I see everything as the vehicle. So Graze Wilder was the vehicle, my charcuterie business that I have with a business partner, Rosie. Then, the dinners, and people would stop me and say to me, what are you going to do when people get sick about the dinners? And I would think, oh, they don't know. It's not about the dinners. But I couldn't tell them what it was about. Now it's like, oh, you've done feast, what next? And I think, they're all vehicles to the next thing. And I think if
Hmm.
I'm really sensible and listen to those much wiser than I, events are exhausting. And at some point, your energy does burn out from hosting, multiple times a week and the selling and all the things that come with it. So I'm already thinking about how I can help other people. Um, I think it's just innately in me that I'm quite warm and open. I can't be any other way. The brand is you. People have said to me, like, you're just the same. And I think, oh God, I'm the same in every setting. Unfortunately for you, I'm the same. Whether we're in the
Absolutely
kitchen,
not.
having a cup
Yeah.
of tea, or we're at a conference, I can't help it. Um, so I think it's teachable too. I think a lot of companies
Hmm.
now, if we can pull on AI in the background, but in the foreground, we get in person and not just to tick a box that, we've had a staff party
Hmm.
or we've done a team building. Everyone slots into the same social circles at work at an event, into the same
Hmm.
conversation. What if we mixed it up and added so much more depth to those? So I think there's like a consulting piece that comes with it too. um
Hmm.
but at the moment it's this, and if we talk in 5
Yeah.
years we'll be able to see really clearly. But I think it's so much bigger than a dinner, than a conference, than a,
Mm.
don't know.
I see it. I see it. I see the hand gestures. I see it for you and the way you just talked about that because you're right. There is this desire for real, authentic, in person connections. And there's a real lack of people actually knowing how to create those because it's so much more than putting people in a room with some drinks and some food. And if you don't know what you know, which is just like your unique zone of genius, is it's really hard to actually create that. And it's like, well, I had all the pieces. I had the food, I had the drinks, I had the music, and it feels flat. And so, yeah, there's so much there around, I think, where humanity is going, what we're going to be craving, and how you uniquely do that. I think that's beautiful, and I see it for you.
Feel giddy when I start talking about it, and I can't even really
Mm-hmm.
picture it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think we all just want a bit more mess. I think it's all become so perfect. And if you weren't at Feast, it's so perfect. But if you were there for the panel and you were there in real life in the room, the
Mm-hmm.
stories, it's like goosebumpy. And Krista said
Mm-hmm.
so perfectly on her way out, she whispered, you know, the KPI of this and said event, like similar events, it's goosebumps. And she said, this room's
Yeah.
full of them. And I thought, "Oh, it's so
Yeah.
true."
Yeah. Yeah. I totally. So if anyone's listening to this, they're probably like, I need to experience this experience because we're talking about it. And as I said, like I have been to a lot of events. I came through hospitality. I have a high standard for what these things look like and feel like, and your events are on another level. So, if people are listening, how can they experience your magic? What are some of the in points for them?
Everyone should follow Dine Wilder on Instagram. I post very frequently on Instagram. And also our website, dinewilderevents.com. We have, as you can imagine, so many doors have opened since Feast, which we knew was going to happen. So I'm taking a very intentional pause on locking anything in at the moment because it would be quite easy to run at everything in typical Emily fashion. I
Mm-hmm.
would run at everything and then be spinning too many plates. And I think we've proven concept. Everyone knows what it is. Everybody wants in. And I think we just pause for a moment and gather our thoughts, and especially with the brand partnerships and things. So I think I'm going to try a slightly different format of event at the end of this month in Squamish, more of a stand-up cocktails and canapes mixer. I'm thinking more for like the woman who works from home, who has a company from home and a team across the country, but won't maybe get an in-person Christmas party. So we're going to try
Mm-hmm.
that. And then we've got lots of events penned for Vancouver, West Van, North Van, Squamish, some in Whistler, spinning, and some for teenage girls as well, which I'm so excited
Oh,
about. I
wow.
really, really want to get them at the table. Um, I actually don't have much education at all myself. I just went to school and then basically left and moved to Australia. I like to learn on the fly. And I think you can have all the education in the world, but unless you learn how to come out from behind your screen and get in person, how are they going to manage in a job interview or, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's so much benefit for them to be at the table with older women who
Yeah.
will take them under their wing and just socialize in a different way. So, yeah, we're going to try and
Yeah.
focus on getting some young women at the table, which I'm excited about too.
Beautiful. Oh, I love that. It is. And that age group, the impact that you can have on them by teaching them just some of the skills that we learn later on, but in a more organic, not like school
Yeah.
way, can be so valuable. So, yes. Okay. So, we'll get people to follow you on Dine Wilder. We'll link all of that. And it sounds like Feast is a go for next year. Tickets are on sale already.
They're on sale to the guest list of those who came last week, which is going to close this evening. And so, probably by the time this goes out, they're already closed.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to release some to the mailing list later in the month. And then I think we're going to keep the rest for next year because I just think there's going to be
Mhm.
so many people I haven't even met yet that I would love the opportunity to come.
Yeah.
And this time there's going to be options to add on and make it a longer weekend. So we're going to have, think
Mm.
of like fireside, cozy cabin chats the night before, maybe more like a pajama and slipper sort of party.
Yeah.
And then a bit more movement offered in the day before on the morning, maybe like yoga, sound bath, forest walks. There'll be lots of other things that you can add on and stay in a hotel as well.
Wow.
So although we're saying, you know, it's done, it's actually not because
Yeah.
we're now growing it. And I think because we know Feast and we now know how to host a conference or whatever it is, there's so many more things that we can slot in through the rest of the year.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds incredible. So keep your eye out. Sounds like if you're not on the list that you won't get access until next year, but keep an eye out for it because it was incredible as the first event. And it just now I'm like, okay, the retreat side of it is really coming out. I can hear it as a full on retreat. So thank you so much, Emily, for your time, for sharing
Thank you.
so openly around your experience in hosting this. If you loved this episode, make sure to follow Emily on Instagram. We'll link all of her information below, and make sure to like and subscribe to the show and comment on this episode. So for everyone who's listening, thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.